Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We are excited for tonight's guest in the show, first show of the year of the Creative Collective, where we think outside the box. And super excited for this guest, LeMichael Curry. I met LeMichael in Orlando, had the pleasure of meeting this young entrepreneur, and super cool dude, very positive, very upbeat. This guy's killing it in the Subto community. Direct to agent is his main focus in the Austin area, I believe. And you're doing the Power Hour and Closers Cafe, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is the guy you want to get to know, guys. If you want to learn how to kill it in real estate, going direct to agent, this is your guy. LeMichael, thanks for being with us, brother.
Oh, thanks for having me. Well, you set that bar kind of high, so we can probably like end the recording here so we don't disappoint.
Man, no, you're killing it, dude. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, man. Hey, could you just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself? Give us some background on you. Maybe what you did previous to real estate and how you got involved and, some of that stuff. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I live in Austin, Texas now. I've been here for a little bit over 2 years now, and I moved here from Las Vegas. And so I was in Vegas for 13 years. And actually before Las Vegas, I had lived in New York. I went to school in New York. And then so I've been in real estate for a little bit over 10 years now. Maybe it's 11. I have to do that math. But what I did before real estate is actually used to perform on the Las Vegas Strip. And so
What?
yeah, dancer, singer. And I
Oh,
did that
cool.
professionally for quite some time, got to travel around the world. Probably been to, I don't know, it's probably over like 50 countries, just like performing with like
Wow. How
different gigs.
cool.
Yeah, so it was a fun life. It was a fun job, and it was interesting because like I was having so much fun, it didn't necessarily like feel like work, even though it's a very competitive industry. Um, but yeah, I remember when I like switched over to real estate, and I was like, okay, now I have to get serious. I have to, become a professional now after being like this artist for so long. Yeah, so once I switched over to real estate, um, I actually, funny story, I started on the investment side first, and I had like signed up for this course. And this was like around what, 2013, 2014.
Mhm.
And it was a wholesaling course. At the time, I didn't know what wholesaling was. I don't think most people did, except for like the investors, high level investors already. So I signed
Mhm.
up for this course, and I remember I was just like spinning my wheels. Like I was spinning my wheels because, I'm sitting at my like dining room table going through the course, and they're like, you need to call for sale by owners, you need to go put bandit signs out, you need to, and I remember going to my table every morning, and I would just get filled with so much anxiety of making that call. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So um I ran into a roadblock when it came to like comping properties, and then so back then they were teaching, they was like, hey, the best way is to make relationships with agents, and then you can get like MLS access, but I'm like, I didn't know any agents at the time. And
Mhm.
so I was like, maybe I should just get my license and like that'll help me. And then so after trying that unsuccessfully for about 2 to 3 months of, daily going to my dining room table with anxiety to make a call. And then I remember the first couple of calls I made, and then I had some people that was interested. They were just like, yeah, it does need some work, we'll sell it to you. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, shoot, I don't know what the next step is. Like, so, I don't know how to comp this property. I don't, and the coaching calls that they were having at the time was not helpful, like at all. So I was like, okay, let me go get my license. That'll probably help me like comp properties and get a better understanding of real estate because I had zero knowledge of real estate.
Mhm.
And so I go and take my classes to get my license. And number one, it was just like a foreign language. Like, especially coming from this creative background. I remember the first day, everything just like went over my head. And, but like I kept showing up. kept showing up. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, oh shoot, they said that the other day. I remember that. And then so after that consistency of, keep going to those classes, it started to sink in. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. So fast forward, end up taking my test to get my license, and I get my license, and then I ended up meeting this broker who actually came. He was doing like presentations to the students at the real estate school I was at. And, I was like, I don't know, something about that guy that, I feel like he could help me, And what's really funny is that he had a really big ego. And I was like, he's a little arrogant, but I was like, you know what? He looks like he knows his shit. And
Kind
like,
of a Grant Cardone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, but you know what? He looks like he knows his stuff. And if this is the guy that can teach me real estate, then who cares if he's arrogant, if
Right.
he can help me like reach my goal. And so I ended up joining his brokerage, and that probably was one of the best moves that I've made, because he had been a very, very successful real estate agent, and then he ran a very successful brokerage, and he really, like, literally he ran his brokerage like the Wolf of Wall Street. So like
Nice.
we had a bullpen, we had a call center, and he's like, if you want to make money in real estate, you need to cold call. And that is not the only way to make money in real estate or as an agent, but it is a way. It's a proven way, and I think it will probably always work. It is a numbers game, but it is tough. So,
Right.
but luckily we had like daily sales training to get better on the phones, and so yeah, it probably took me about like 9 months to get my first deal, and it was from cold calling. And once I got my first deal, I was like, oh my gosh, this works, So like I doubled down, and then
Awesome.
yeah, thanks. And
Dude, that's so cool.
yeah, and then it took me maybe like 2 years, and then I ended up being like in the top 10% at that brokerage.
Wow.
And then
That's
made
impressive, man.
thank you, thank you.
I love that. One of my favorite things that you just said was 9 months, and you didn't quit in 9 months of not getting a deal, man. Let's talk a little bit about the mindset that goes into that. Like, what kept you going? Why didn't you quit? Like, what was there a drive? What was the driving force for you to keep moving?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. So the driving force was, number one, I transitioned into real estate after some of my performance work started to slow down. And I wasn't like, I didn't have a lot of money. Like I probably had like a couple months like worth of like savings to go on. So I was kind of in a situation where I needed to make it work. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
nothing like having that as a motivation, that it's either like pass or fail.
yeah.
There's
Fight or
no,
flight.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
There was no in between. So
Mhm.
um I had that as a motivation. And plus, like, this broker, he was an amazing leader, literally one of the best leaders like I have ever met. So he worked on us constantly with like mindset and sales training. So it took some time to transition that mindset from my previous job to where I was now, and trying to run like a real estate business. And so those were the two pivotal things. I had the right leadership, and I had like a strong motivation or of sink or swim.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that alone will get you far. And I mean, if it's like you said, it's the mindset shift, man, that happens. There's a clear and defined, fight or flight mode. If you're gonna fight, you're gonna stay in it. And a lot of people just don't I get scared and just go back to a job, I love the fact that you stayed in it. You didn't give up, you didn't quit, and you made the proper adjustments, right? Because that's kind of what happens when you're like for me personally, last year when I started doing sub two, it was a few degrees off, right? You were doing the motions, and then you start learning that you're just off a click or two here and a click there, right? Until you kind of find your lane and get into your sweet spot, and then it just kind of boom clicks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I love what you just said too, because like if you ask me, I think 90% of your success in this business is
Mhm,
all mindset. It's all
mhm.
mindset. And to take that even further, I would say 90% of life is like
Right.
mindset too.
I agree, man. Yeah.
Mindset with how you handle the circumstances you're faced with.
Yep.
Mindset with how you decide to make decisions. And no matter what level you're trying to go up to, it takes some type of shift in mindset, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like to go from 50K to 100K, that's a certain mindset. For go
Mhm.
100K to
Yeah.
500K, that's a different mindset. To go from like a million to like billions of dollars,
Yes.
that's all, those are all mindset shifts.
So true, man. I love that you said that because I had some a couple of mindset issues of my own, and I'm the mindset guy. Like I love it. Like you said, I'm always talking to newbies about mindset, and it's so important that you learn to network properly and get your mind in the right place, not overthink, not overanalyze everything, and just take action. Uh, I had a few things recently that I'd like to share just briefly with this life coach that I talk to once a week. Him and I'm in the early stages of writing a book. It's kind of like a relational book, right? About some struggles my wife and I went through and that I was able to overcome, that we overcame and became stronger together, right? I want to help other men, other relationships. So I'm actually writing a book, and then in our conversation, and then Pace has had me do some trainings and stuff on the 12 days, and then on the Gator 3.0 launch, I got to get in there in Kajabi. Like all this cool stuff this last few months has been happening for me, and I'm on this call with my coach, and I'm like, oh, I'm nervous. I'm gonna do this 12 days, and I'm not a teacher. And then like we go on talking, and I said, I'm writing a book, but I need help. I don't know. I'm not a writer. I need to find someone. And he stopped me there, and he goes, Lance, can I point a few things out real quick? He goes, man, you're writing a book about life experience to help other people out who are going through similar things, but I just heard you say you're not a writer. You're doing trainings. Pace Morby asked you to go on and train people and do these trainings, and you just told me you're not a teacher. And I was just like, whoa, dude. He caught me in my own self-limiting belief, man. And I was like, dang, but it was powerful. I didn't catch it. And I was like, dude, you're right. So it's like you said, though, as you level up, your mindset shifts every time, man. I love that. I
Yeah, I
love
mean,
that.
I think we all have some mindset conditioning that we're always going to be working on. Like that
Yeah.
literally is like a life goal. Pace even says it himself. He's like, I have different mindset beliefs that I have to break through to get to the next level. So it's
Oh,
just important to,
absolutely.
have people around you that can
Yeah.
help you like with that and support that. You know what? Give me 2 seconds. Let me grab my charger that's right here.
Yeah. No problem, man.
I got like
No problem.
5% battery.
Something that LaMichael mentioned, man, I think is also key, right? Mindset is definitely number one. It's got to be the foundation.
Hmm.
But sales training has got to be like that next level of what you need, right? What you need in your belt buckle. I really think that sales training and having just some sort of training with regards to sales, so you can start getting over that wall that he was facing, right? I mean, I faced it myself. I remember my first call was to a somebody on online, and it was a FISBO, for sale by owner. And because they tell you, right, call for sale by owners,
Yeah.
get their information. I get on the phone, and I'm just like so nervous, and the guy starts raising his voice at me, and I'm just like, I just start fumbling through the call, and I'm just like, well, sorry to bug you, sir. Just hung up the phone. And the aftermath makes you feel like you're never going to do it. Like you're just, man, you're always going to suck. Right. And that it took a while, again, going back to that mindset of just getting over that. But I think the sales training, and I was able to get some of that, started giving me some of that confidence. But
Mhm.
there's nothing like taking action, right? That first call was bad, but ultimately, as I got more and more repetition, it's the same thing that they say with anything, right? Practice, practice, practice.
Yep. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes or sayings is imperfect action trumps inaction all day, every day. So I tell people that all the time, man. So many people like newbies in our community too. They get in and they're lost. They don't know what to do. They're scared to death. They're like, "Oh my God, I don't know, I can't do this." And it's just like, man, just
Yeah,
one step at a time. One step at a time.
that's all it takes. And you know what's interesting is I think that sales skills are so valuable. I honestly wish that along with financial literacy education, that actually like they should teach sales training like in high school. Because I remember when I first got into sales, I always had this mindset. It's like, no, I don't want to be a salesperson. I never want to like do sales. I don't want to sell anything that's not going to sell itself, you know, like a Bentley.
Mhm.
And so I remember that was my mindset going into sales. But then once I actually started to learn sales, sales is all sales boils down to is solving problems and asking the right questions. And those type of skills, not only does it help you like in your profession, it helps you with your spouses, it helps you with your
Mm.
family, it helps you like in your day-to-day life, even when you're like negotiating, I don't know, something like at whatever random place at the store. Asking better questions. That literally is what sales boils down to. And like if honestly, I think the world would be a much better place if like in like high school they taught like some proper sales training.
Seriously. Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because
I
sales
agree.
sales gets a bad rep, you know. A
Mhm.
lot of times, you know, I mean, there is an element of persuasion, you know, in sales, but a lot of times people think sales is trying to make somebody do something you want them to do or something, you know, they don't want to do. But at the end of the day, you're asking the right questions to help solve a problem.
Mhm. Oh, that's good. I love that. That's so true. So true. You're looking for the bunnies,
Yeah,
like Pace says, the bunnies. Where
exactly.
are the bunnies?
Exactly.
It's true, man. Yeah, I love that. You're right. And it's like one of the things for me as far as building confidence is obviously, locking in deals, but it's really believing in and having faith that what you're doing is good, and it's a good, your product is good. I think that's a big struggle for people is they don't have that faith in themselves or in the product, or whatever it is. Like, you can use it, real estate as a product, but you know what I mean? Like, I see that a lot where people just struggle with the confidence, and taking action is the best way to overcome that. Even if you don't lock a deal in right away, if somebody doesn't say no, or you just have a conversation and they're open, man, it changes your whole, like, it's like, whoa, hey, I'm getting somewhere here. So,
Yeah,
no, it's good,
absolutely.
man. Yeah, it's good. So cool, bro. So how did you land on direct to agent, and what can you walk us kind of through, like, you know, some of the things you do? Juan, you want to step in here because I'm not in the I'm
Yeah,
in the
definitely. I mean, as
yeah,
you
thank
talk,
you.
as you kind of improved on your walk, if you will, with being an investor, right? You said you started getting really familiar and really good at talking to agents. I guess we really wanted to tap into that, right? And allow some of us to hear what some of the actual tips and tricks would be when talking to an agent. I've burst out and I've actually reached out to sellers directly, right? That's just I love to do that. I love direct seller, but I've also seen the benefit of going direct to agent as well, right? So why not run them in parallel is what I've said, right? And so that's what I've been able to do. But tell us some of the advantages of going direct to agent, and then once we engage in those conversations, what is it that we should be saying or not saying?
Right. Absolutely. So full circle. So I started working for that brokerage and I was direct to seller. And you know, I did that for about, I think it was like 7 years before I switched over to the investment side. And what um encouraged the switch was like I had this client and I was selling like all of these like distressed properties. And then so I was selling these properties to investors. And you know, and I was seeing what they were doing with them. They were flipping them and like making money. And I've always wanted to like get into flipping. And I was like, you know what? I'm selling like all of these deals. Like, why don't I learn how to like do these and take these houses down myself and flip them and make the money that they're making. So and then like I was like, okay, and then I did a deal with the wholesale team. And then I ended up having a conversation with them and told them that I wanted to learn that side of the business and if I could come like work for them for a while. And they said yeah, they were fine with that. And it was interesting because like when I made that switch, I was like, you know what? Like this is what I wanted to do in the first place. When I started real estate, this was the side of real estate that I was intending to do, you know? So yeah, once I did that, and they started teaching me their systems and like how to find deals, but they kind of gave us free range as to how we wanted to lead generate. And I was a little bit, I had PTSD from making all those phone calls. I used to spend 3 to 4 hours prospecting on the phones, direct to seller, 3 to 4 hours, nonstop. It was like 9 to 12. That was my schedule, and so I was like, I really don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to go back to that, you know? So I was like, so they were like, well, you can call agents, you know? And then so they taught me like how to like find deals on the MLS. And I just had like a natural, I guess, ability that I learned over the years to talk to agent. It's like, because I've been an agent for some time. So now like I know what they want to hear. Like I know what, like what's important to them. And then, so yeah, I ended up liking that a lot better because I didn't have to spend like 3, 4 hours like talking to sellers to find a deal and getting all those no's and FU's and all that stuff. Which is, like I said, that served me well at that time. Like it taught me skills. It taught me how to overcome objections. It taught me how to, keep pushing forward and how to take a no without, like feeling personal about it. Because like when sellers like, say F you and like all of that stuff, after a while, like the first couple of times, it's just like, okay, that hurts. Like, what did I do to this person? But, after a while, it's just like water off a duck's back. You're like, okay, on to the next call. So yeah, that's what got me into direct to agent because I was like, okay, like, these are like talking to like colleagues, if you will. And then so when I started to make my calls, I did like some shifts. I, toyed around with a few things to see like what worked better and what didn't work. And like what I found to have the most effective conversations with agents, there's a couple of things that you want to establish. And this is if you're an agent or if you're not an agent, it really doesn't matter. As long as you establish like these pillars on the phone call, you'll have an effective conversation. The first thing is like I tried to build some type of rapport with that agent. Especially like I got into wholesaling in like the last couple of years where it was a super, super competitive market, So if it was a distressed property, like they were getting anywhere from like 8 to like 15 offers from other wholesalers. So when you have competing offers and they look exactly the same on paper, human nature, more importantly, that agent is going to go with the person that they like the most and they feel comfortable with and the credibility. And we'll get into that too. So I try to establish some type of rapport. So it's like, okay, how do you establish the rapport? I don't spend a lot of time on rapport. I usually I think it can be a waste of time. Like I don't want to talk about like the game or talk about the weather or any of like that nonsense. But if I can do something to take the conversation just off of real estate and even maybe get like a chuckle out of them, then that's that injection of like rapport that I need. And then another way that I go about like establishing that rapport is I like to end the conversation highlighting like what we talked about and how I'm the person that can solve their problem. And, I'm excited to like do a deal. I'm like, hey, let's do this deal. Like, I'd love to get this off your books. So those are like the like small tactics that I do for rapport. The next thing I would say is really important when you're talking to agents is credibility. The agents, they want to go with the buyer that is most likely to get the deal closed. So you have to establish some type of credibility. And then, so what does credibility look like? At the time, since I worked for a big wholesale team, I got to leverage the team. When you're in a community, you get to leverage your community or you get to leverage your business partners. So like part of my pitch would be, hey, like we're on track to close, 4 or 5 deals this month. And, we buy at a high level in the area and anywhere from like 50 to 70 a year. And, we would love to get this deal done with you. And so that, like, knowing that they have an experienced investor that's not gonna like BS them, that goes a long way. And then the next thing I would say is like confidence, and the confidence goes both ways. Is you want to have confidence in what you're saying and what you're presenting. Um, and so what that means for you is that you either have to like polish your script or your framework. And there's two different camps. Some people love going by like a framework that outlines like the pillars of what you need to hit in that conversation, and we can talk about those too. But some people love just like a full-blown like script, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them work depending on like your personality and how you communicate. And the good thing about a script is that like if it's a proven script, like and it has been thought out by somebody that has sales training. The script should be designed to get you to your end goal, to uncover the motivation, and to uncover the pain, and then also to like set up the call like for success. We were on Closers Cafe the other day, and then this lady, she was saying that she had a call, and then she like started off the conversation. She was like, yeah, I see the house is in foreclosure. Like, what are you guys going to do about it? I'm like, okay, that's not how you start a call. So it was awesome because we kind of got to like dissect that call and give her some really like good points of like how to have like a proper introduction. And you don't want to start that call off on the wrong foot, because immediately if you open a call like that, you're setting that person on edge, or like you're setting that person, whether it's an agent or whether it's a seller. Like if it's a seller and you just come out the gate and say, hey, I noticed your house is in foreclosure, you come across like you're trying to what do you call that, like poach, I forget what the word
Predatory.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And then same with an agent. Like if you come out, it's like, oh, okay, like, like what kind of predator, like, are you just like targeting these? And you come out like you're like just looking for an opportunity. At the end of the day, we are investors, and we call motivated leads, but at the same time, there's better ways and more effective ways to start that conversation than doing it that way. And then if you follow the proper framework, that information is going to come out without you even having to ask. And then that's a lot more effective than you coming out and just volunteering that that information. So yeah, having the confidence of knowing what you're saying. And if you don't have a script, and there's so many different scripts out there that can give you like really good frameworks, at least have a bullet point, because some people they love the like just having a natural flow to their conversation. And if you get really good at scripts, you can still have a natural flow. But some people, they just want to see the bullet points. I just need to hit this point, this point, this point, this point. So it's understanding like where your personality lies as to like which direction you want to go with like script or framework. I find like a lot of newer people could really benefit from like a script until they really embody like those words. So one of the things that we did in sales training, like we use scripts and we chanted them like every day before we started our calls. 8:30 we had script practice, and we had role play, and where we would go through like live objections. And what that did is that gave us that confidence on the phone, because we didn't have to stammer over the words. We didn't have to figure out like the next question. Like we could literally rattle that whole script off like in like 15 seconds. So it gave us the ability to actually like listen on the phone, listen for like the little nuances that we could either like dig deeper into, or something that we need to ask more questions about. So having that confidence on the phone when you're talking to the agent is really important. And then also confidence on their side is you want to give them the confidence that you're the buyer to go with. Like they want it, and that also gets proven like with your credibility like pitch. But you want to give them confidence that like, what, if I go with Lance, I know that he's gonna get the deal done, because at the end of the day, they have to pitch your offer to the seller. And like, again, when it's multiple offers, they're going to go with the one that they like the most and the one that they feel most confident that's going to close. So the next thing I would say is important is like your posture on the phone, and is how do you come across? And so my personal posture, like I'm super kind of like laid back but still assertive. You know, like I don't come like at them like, oh, I need this deal, you know, like if I don't get this deal, like I'm not going to eat, you know, although there was many times that was definitely the case. But you don't want to have like that desperation. You don't want to have that desperation in the voice, in your posture and in your voice, you know. And I hear it happens. So, you know, you want to have that confidence, that assertion, but you also don't want to be a douche either, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You
Key
know,
takeaways: don't be a douche. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
that in the notes. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, you know what? This is some great information, Michael. I know that, running a wholesale company myself, right? That's one thing. That's one area that I've had to get really good at is to talk to agents and not present myself as a wholesaler, right?
Right.
So, can you speak on that a little bit about how, if you're looking to buy this property and you're going to assign it, right? As you're not calling yourself a wholesaler, but you technically are wholesaling the property. What's a good way for someone to call an agent and start out a conversation by not introducing themselves as a wholesaler? Because we all know that most agents are going to look at wholesalers and just, immediately already be on the defensive, and
Yes.
and you're probably not even going to get the deal.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, wholesalers and wholesaling has just gotten a bad rep over the years. And mainly because I think the perception is the agent thinks like, oh, okay, well, if you're going to sell it for more money, then like I can just sell it for more money, you know, where that's really not the case. Sometimes they don't have the network that we have to sell it for more
Right.
money. They don't know how to go find the buyers that's buying properties like that, for more money. And then two, I think the bad perception is just that with the amount of like canceled deals that happen too. They just want to go with somebody that is going to perform, and then there's a lot of wholesale deals that like cancel. So the question is like, how do you approach, you know, this agent and remove that friction of saying, you know, that I'm a wholesaler? And what's interesting, this is going to be like even more important like these next coming years, is because, as you know, like the gurus, the YouTube videos and all of that stuff, more agents and the public, even I heard somebody say they were doing direct to seller, and the seller's like, are you a wholesaler? And it's like, oh wow, so now like even sellers know what wholesaling is. So yeah, presenting yourself in a way where you can have integrity about what you're saying, but also removing some of that friction is going to be important. So one of the things that I do, like, you know, I either tell them, and it depends on what I'm doing, and so a lot of times I'll come and tell them that I'm looking to buy the property. Now I do buy properties to fix and flip myself, and I do buy properties to buy and hold. So like I can say that with some integrity. Or I just tell them, you know, either me or one of my business partners is going to buy. And then and again, I can have like integrity like with that too, because my network of buyers essentially are my business partners. We're doing
Right.
business together, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
to me, that's that gray line that you can walk, where, you know, you're not being dishonest, but at the same time you're not inviting more friction into like the conversation than necessary. So that's usually what I would start with, like my introduction call. Nowadays, um I'm probably about like 50-50 in the way that I present it. Sometimes like I just come straight out the gate and just tell them like, hey, I'm just gonna put this out to my network of buyers. And you know, I feel like that would be the best, that will like get the best result for the seller, and give us the highest likely chance to get this sold. That works really, really good with properties that have been on the market for a while though, because, you know, so
Mhm.
because one, the competition has gone down. And then so now like you can present that solution that, hey, we can get this sold. You know, like it looks like it's not going to work for me for X, Y, and Z reasons, but I have this huge network that I can present it to and get it sold that way.
Yeah. That you know what? That's a great point. It's really about adjusting to the deal,
Yes.
right? And how you're going to have that conversation is you would tend to do a little bit of homework to understand the deal that you're calling on, right? Understand you know, like you said right now, how old is that deal, right? Has it been listed for a few months? You know, if that's the case, then my conversation is going to be a little bit different than it is at the, you know, if they just listed the property 2, 3 days, because 2, 3 days that property's still hot, right? In the agent's eyes. So in all reality, why would they want to waste their time with an investor? So that's when you really have to switch up that conversation to really make yourself, like you said, credible. I think was really key, and have confidence in what you're saying. You know, a lot of people could smell BS a mile away, and when you're speaking and you're not speaking with confidence, I mean, people can hear it through the phone.
Right.
And you know, it's happened to me, right? Where you're confident until you're not.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
start going through, and all of a sudden the agent starts asking you questions, and then all of a sudden you start kind of falling apart. But again, this is all about repetition and practice, and just keep going. You know, get on to the next one. Like you said earlier, it's all right, on to the next, on to the next. Because if you don't do that to yourself or for yourself, then you're gonna be left to, you know, you're gonna be left to quitting, you know, eventually, right? So
Yeah.
that's key, man. That's really good information.
Wait, you said something that was like really worth repeating, because you said it's about the repetition and the consistency. Literally, that is the key to confidence. That is literally the key. Is like, because trust me, like after your, you know, I don't know, 500th call, that's going to be a lot better than like your first 20, you know?
Right.
And then the second thing is that practice too. And so it's like it's like write down and find out what's stumbling you up and making you less confident on the phone. You know, is it if they come out the gate and say, "Hey, are you a wholesaler?" And then you just like, "Oh, well, I kind of do this thing, like, you know," and so whatever. So it's like if that happens on the phone, then you're like, okay, take note of that. Okay, so how will I be better prepared for that question next time? And then practice that objection handler. And so
Right.
that repetition and that consistency of keep making the calls, that's what's gonna like really like skyrocket your confidence and have you more prepared.
That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had this agent just ask me the other day. He was like, "Hey, are you wholesaling?" I was like, "You know what?" I was like, to be honest, like I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this property. You know, like right now I'm looking at it for myself. You know, I'm actually, and this was actually a property I was like considering like as a primary. I was
Yeah.
like, but you know, occasionally, sometimes if it don't work for us, after I take it to my underwriting team, if it doesn't work for us, I have lots of business partners that buy properties just like this. So, you know, if that time comes, I'll let you know. I'll let you know that one of my business partners is actually gonna like perform on this. And if you need any additional credibility like from them or any documents, I'm happy to provide that.
Yeah,
And
that's a great response, man. When I've gotten that question, I've turned around and said, look, I'm a real estate investor.
yes,
At the end of the day, I have multiple exit strategies that I leverage and I use, but I won't know that until I actually can vet this deal, be able to get more information from you. So either way, I want this property.
yep,
And I think a lot of times when I turn that back around on them and not answer their question directly, right? Now I'm giving them a response with, hey, you know what? This guy is serious about buying the property. And on top of that, he's got multiple ways by which he can do it, which gives me a little bit higher probability that he will sell this property or that he will buy it, right? Because he's got
absolutely.
all these exit strategies that he's preparing me for. So yeah, man, it's so good. I wanted I know we were running a little bit low on time, but I wanted to just have you kind of quickly tell the group here about Closers Cafe, and that way, you know, people can be open to joining when you guys are live or when your Zooms are. But if you can kind of go over that a little bit here and kind of what you guys do at Closers Cafe.
Yeah, absolutely. So Closers Cafe is a Zoom that we host in Sub 2. And quick little tangent, we were talking about mindset earlier. When I first joined Sub 2 last January, I was like, oh my gosh, this community is freaking awesome. I would love to be like a leader in this community. And my mind, the monkeys on my shoulder, is like, no, you're not ready for that. Like, you know, you need to like do this first and do that before you can like be a leader. And literally, like 4 months later, I was part of like this like mastermind group within Sub 2 that we were like having accountability calls. And then that's how Closers Cafe was born. One of the guys had like a great idea. He was like, like people, like we're making these calls like with each other, like on the Zoom. Like, what about if we opened it up and we allow people to watch us make the calls. So that's how Closers Cafe was like born. And then, so what we do in Closers Cafe is we do live agent outreach where we're talking to agents and we're like pitching them creative deals. And you have 4 different people. You get to hear 4 different styles, and you get to see how we like handle ourselves like in the weeds and handle like objections, and we lock up deals live. We get cursed out live, and you get to see all of that stuff.
That's awesome, dude.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then the second part of it, we actually open up the floor so that any of the attendees, if they want to make a live call, they can make a live call and get our feedback. So we've had people make their first calls on there. We've had some like killer calls on there too, just from our attendees. So you get to see like the pros do it and the newbies do it too.
Right. Yeah. So this is only open to sub 2 students, not Gators, right?
Right. Unfortunately, yeah, it's on the
Someone, Anthony asked, was Dan Quijano doing it back then?
He was not. Dan Keanu, I know he hosts the nightly DAOs. And so yeah, Closers Cafe was kind of born just a couple months ago when we decided to like do it live for the sub 2 group.
Nice.
But Dan would be a killer on there.
Right. I got to meet Dan at the Ice Bar in Orlando, actually. Cool
Yeah.
dude. Oh, did you? Is it Myron? Is Myron doing the Closers Cafe, or he's doing his own thing?
Myron is doing his own thing too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Similar to what you guys are doing. I've seen him. We've went to a couple of his. He does it on Friday in Dallas.
Oh, nice.
Did you want to open up to Juan? You want to open it up for some Q&A? There's some.
Yeah, definitely. Want to give an opportunity to some of the individuals here to ask some questions. You guys want to go ahead and raise your hands up. Get LeMichael here, and you got him live right in front of you. You can ask him any question that you desire, real estate or not. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. That's great.
Go.
All right. I think we got Ari out there.
Ari, come on up, brother. Oh, where's Ari?
Got it. How are you? Thank you so much, LeMichael.
There he is. What's up, Ari?
Hello. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, brother.
New Year.
So my question to you is, because I also had experience as an agent from 2007 to 2013, and I didn't have my license for a while, and that was like my goal to get back into real estate, was to get my broker's license. So I got my broker's license back in July, and I have no desire to really work as, a buyer's agent or a seller's agent. Like, this is what I really would want to do. So does that transition, I don't feel like I have enough time to try to work with buyers or sellers and running them around and taking them out, because I'm more, this is what I'm interested in. So do you see that as being an agent? You can't really, it'll be too, because if you really want to put yourself forward like I do, I want to put all in this, I can't do both. I don't see. So did you transition out of it, or you still doing both?
Yeah, so I actually like you, like I transitioned completely like out of like the retail real estate. Like I operate better when I have a little bit of like tunnel vision. Like it's hard to have time to do like a real estate investing and run like do listing appointments and show buyers houses. So I just made like a full-time business out of like wholesaling. And so I think, as long as you like pursue it aggressively, like you can definitely like make it a full-time business and not have to like work with like retail clients, doing listings. And yeah, like usually I refer those out now because yeah, the wholesaling, that literally takes up all of my time. And if you wanted to do that, if you still wanted to operate in that space, you could also become what they call a unicorn agent. And a unicorn agent is an agent that focuses primarily on investors. So you can work with other you can wholesale the fix and flipper a property and then also list that property. And so you can do that and just have a specialty of just working with investors.
And on that, if I may ask one more question. So now like opportunity comes about for a fix and flip and it's completely in a 2,000 miles away state. So I don't say, hey, I'm an agent in New York and I want a referral fee. I don't even bother. I just say I'm an agent and I'm not looking for anything. Is that behoove me to say that, or just see more opportunity in investment that I shouldn't even be putting myself out there that I'm not looking to collect a commission? I even just straight out say I'm not interested in, because I see the bigger picture.
Is this a buyer bringing you like a wholesale deal in a different state?
So it's a fix and flip opportunity where there's boots on the ground who's going to renovate, and he got the home under contract, and then we're going to be using another agent that is in the area to sell the property once it's ready to go.
Okay. Yeah. Are you familiar with that market?
Not so much. My partner lived there for many years and
Mhm.
knows the area, but we have an agent in the area that's telling us about the market and telling us how much it's going to sell for and the comps, and sent us a whole bunch of stuff. But I said to her on the phone, I said, I'm an agent back in New York, but I'm not looking for a referral fee or anything like that when we ask you to list the property. Is
Got
that like the question is, should I not be putting myself out there like that? Or should I say, you know what, I'd like to get a fee also?
So are you getting some of the proceeds from the investment too when it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I mean I would say that probably is like personal preference in the sense like you could ask for a referral fee, or you can say, hey, would you be able to knock down like a point like from the commission? So a lot of agents will do that, especially if you plan on doing more business with them. I typically don't recommend trying to beat up agents on their commissions because, like, I know most of us work really hard for them. But I don't see any problem of asking for a referral fee. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think you can go either way and be fine.
Okay.
I don't know, Juan. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same way. Every scenario is so different, right?
Yeah,
So, you got different options with different scenarios.
yeah,
I mean, and it's kind of a not a clear-cut answer for you, but it really does boil down to the situation, the scenario, the deal, right? All of it.
yeah.
Okay. The relationship too.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
of course.
That's
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah, if you have rapport, you built a relationship there,
Mhm.
definitely that gives you a little bit more, I would say leverage, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thanks, Ari. Great
Thanks,
question,
Ari.
man.
Thanks, Ari.
You're welcome.
Okay, Don. Don's been in the chats, been dying to ask some questions. Don, come on up. If you could turn your camera on, that'd be great.
We'll see Don's pretty face.
Yeah,
Don.
Don doesn't have a pretty face.
There you go. Hey,
He-
buddy.
he's 71 years old.
Hey,
And
Don, how you doing?
I'm well, and Lance, I was there for every day of the 12 days. And I
Awesome.
loved your presentation. I'm going to reach out to you. So
Thank you.
remember my name. So,
Sounds good, buddy.
I thought you really impressed me. So this has been outstanding to listen to. And I spent 6 months in the hospital on chemo. I'm not looking for sympathy as much as saying I got out. I'm broke.
Hey,
A little bit broken. It doesn't do much for your brain being on that shit. So, however, I'm above ground and I'm here. So,
Amen.
I was hoping that you might speak um, to the pillars. You mentioned it several times. Was it LeMichael?
Yes.
LeMichael. Interesting name. Good
Thank
stage name, maybe. Yeah, I really enjoyed your story. I often reflect on it. I wish I had stayed with the piano lessons because what do you want to? What do you love? I love music. Nowhere near as much as real estate. Anyway, I'm sorry for the distraction.
No, but
Um,
I find like to really make life more fulfilling too. You still have to do those things that you're passionate about. So maybe it, it's not going to be a professional pianist, but it's like,
Yeah.
hey, like, can you do some piano lessons on the side, or, do something if it's bringing you
Exactly.
joy.
I'll be calling you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told myself that like as soon as I start to make some money, I'm going to buy an electric piano. Anyway, I'm on the wrong track. So I'd like to hear about the pillars, and I'd like to talk. There's a couple of ways I can make money. I have somebody with $250,000 and somebody with $500,000, and they trust me. I don't know why, but they do. And I just think about the Gator community. I just thought about placing ads to all the various investor Facebook groups, just saying, "Hey, I got money. Would you like it?" And just have a conversation. Patricia, you think that's funny? I like that. She's smiling and laughing. So um, I I just need to make some money right away. And I'm I was a realtor in 1986 before they had MLS. I mean, it used to be a big phone book that you look through that had each of the properties on it. It was nasty. Um, but in 2003 to 2008, I bought 31 pre-foreclosures, rehabbed them, and sold them. And LeMichael, the fact when you said, well, you're thinking of doing fix and flip, I thought to myself, are you nuts? It is just a lot of work. I mean, if you got crews, you gotta be there every day, seeing how things are going. And, I used to get out of the truck and run around with paint cans and paintbrushes and, because I'd set the pace for everybody else to work, because otherwise they,
Right.
run out. Anyway, so speak to the pillars
Yep.
and what do you think about that idea I just shared about posting on different Facebook groups with the money thing?
Yeah.
Those
So
are,
actually, I'm really, really happy that you asked that, because I know that I mentioned about the pillars and went off on a tangent and forgot to circle back to. So thanks for asking about
yeah,
that.
you mentioned it three
Um,
times.
Yeah. So here are the pillars that like I like to hit in the conversation when I'm talking to an agent. The first thing I like to do is talk about condition. Now, the reason I like to talk about condition is because I want the agent to do their agent thing and tell me about the property and try to sell me the property. And so that's another way I actually build rapport. When you allow somebody to do their job,
Right.
you know, they're subconsciously is gonna like you even more. So I like to leave that room in the conversation for that agent to do their job. So that's why I talk about condition. The next thing is motivation, and there's a couple ways you can go like about motivation. And I don't like to go head on. Some people will say like, "Hey, why is the seller selling?" Sometimes that works, and depending on what I notice, like on the listing, like say for instance, they just bought it not too long ago. This is more so for sub-2 deals, and I'll just say like, "Hey, I see they just bought it a couple years ago. What happened? Did they just hate the neighborhood?" And then now like I get them, to start spilling out like what the real reason is it's selling. If it's like distress, I may say something like, hey, like this market is crazy. Like, why would they want to sell it this time? Like with the conditions, property's not selling and all of that. Like, why would they want to sell it this time? And so that's another reason that can
Great, that's great.
get them to spill the beans. And then timeline, I want to know, is this seller like looking to make a decision like relatively soon, or are they just trying to collect as many offers as they can?
Right.
And and sometimes motivation actually comes out in that too, like, oh no, they need to like get this sold by the end of the month. Oh, why did
Right.
they get it sold by the end of the month? Oh, because they're up against foreclosure. So
Right, got it, okay.
and then price. I want to ask them like about the price. Sometimes I'll do my preliminary numbers, and I'm like, hey, I'll be honest with you. Like if we were to do this all cash, we would probably be at X amount. Do you think the seller would be open to that at this time? And then I just kind of want to gauge interest to see how motivated the seller and the agent is. And then from there, that's when I will go into like my pitch. And
I
then
see. Now, I would think, I bought the axle flipping thing back before I got really sick. And I got into that and I probably made 100 offers. 4 that were accepted, but I didn't have a buyer. I mean, I didn't line up. I mean, you gotta have the buyers ready. Just like I heard that, at least from a couple of you today, that having it, the realtor or the seller have an understanding that you're gonna be able to pass this on to other buyers. I didn't do that, so shame on me. Obviously, didn't make any money. Um, okay, and then do you have any idea, like, where would you get, I would strips for sellers, agents and sellers. I'm capable of doing it, but I like to read, somebody's script. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Honestly, Jerry Norton has some like really, really good scripts. And then so like I've used some of his scripts and made my own. And yeah, I mean, if anybody wants him, because you may have to like sign up on his email list to like get him. I don't know how he's doing it now, but if anybody wants him, you can just message me on Instagram and I'll send you like his like script book. He has some really good stuff in there, for the direct to agent, direct to seller, and
Yeah,
even
I like Jerry. Yeah, he's very impressive. I'm in love with Pace, and it's just amazing how I feel like got moved forward, um, motivation wise, confidence wise. From listening to Pace, and not to say and nothing bad to say about Jamil, but I find Pace to be incredibly giving. He's not looking for anything back much of the time. Um, and one more thing is, so, and you all heard, I'm sure you have, investor lift.
yes.
Like, I'm coming into some money in February. I
Mhm.
mean, is investor lift worth, the squeeze?
So I hear mixed reviews about Investor Lift. I actually just sold a property on Investor Lift like last week. And I don't have the actual account, but I partnered up with somebody that does.
Is it?
And so they put it out there and we sold it. So it is a good tool. Um, do you need to invest in that right away? I would say it depends on, do you have enough like deals coming in and have you like mastered the acquisition part of it?
Actually, no, I haven't. No, no. You just said it. As soon as one of the things I'm going to do when I get the money is join sub two, so that I can go to close something. What was it? Close the
I
cafe.
I gotta butt in real quick, Don. You've got a bunch of sub two students here that can squat up with you, man. So if you get any leads or need help closing, a
Yeah,
lot
how
of
do I
them
get
in
in
here.
touch? I wrote everybody's name down. Not everybody had the. I could probably look you up on Instagram. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Uh,
I want to be respectful of LeMichael's time.
No, no, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just wanted
thank
to
you.
throw
No,
that
no.
out there.
Move on. I'll shut up.
Oh, you're good, man. No, that was great. Great conversation. I just wanted to make sure
Very
you.
exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, Don. I appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, reach out to me. We can hop on a Zoom, man. I can, help give you some
All right.
guidance or
Very good. Yeah. Yeah.
whatever you need, buddy. Appreciate you.
All right.
Yeah,
Bye.
same. Like if anybody wants to hit me up or if anybody has more questions,
Yeah.
hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to help.
Yeah. Do you want to throw your IG handle in the comments or the best way to get a hold of you, bro?
Yes, I will. Let's see. It's LeMichael.rei, but I'm gonna put it in the comments too.
And then also, what's a good way for them to join Closers Cafe? Do they, obviously they have to be sub two students, but do they get vetted some way somehow when they join the Zoom link, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's on the calendar. So like they send out it's on Tuesdays. I'm in Texas, so CST, that is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then typically, if you're in sub two, they'll send out that link the day of. I think it's Melissa who sends out the schedule for the day. And then so yeah, you join it that way. Just click that link. And you can find it on the calendar also. And yeah, there's no vetting process or anything. We welcome like people to make their first call on there. You know, then we have some people, they'll come to a couple of sessions first and then, you know, make calls down the line.
Very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
Cool.
great.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time, man. Is there anything you'd like to end with? Since Damon's not here, I like to ask, you know, if you have a favorite book reference or something, a good book that you're into right now that you would recommend to everybody before we hop off.
Yeah. So my favorite book, Jesus, so many. It would definitely be sales related. I definitely recommend The Way of the Wolf. And that,
Nice.
yeah, that is an amazing like sales book. If you haven't heard of it, that's from Jordan Belfort. And that's who like the Wolf of Wall Street movie was like based off of. And
Awesome.
he goes through like all of his like sales training. Unfortunately, like it was of how to like rip people off of money, but it's still some like sound sales training, some sound principles in there that you can like use and like have some integrity. So yeah,
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you. I think I just listened to Wolf of Wall Street, his book recently. I don't know if it's the same one, but it probably is.
yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year. Let's kick some major ass this year, guys. Reach out to me, LeMichael, Juan. Any of us can help you out if you guys need help closing deals, negotiating. Be happy to help you guys. Until next time. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.